So hello guys, today I have a question that I need to answer, just like I promised yesterday that I'm going to be answering your question. So someone sent me a question and I want to answer that question in this video so that it will benefit all other people that are in the same situation, because I know that a lot of people inside Canada right now are in this situation. This video will be useful for you if you're inside Canada and you're currently working with your postgraduate work permits, or even if you're studying, right? Because you want to know how it will be for you when you get to that stage. And also, if you're outside Canada, it also helps you to understand the things around postgraduate work permit, transiting from being a student to become a permanent resident. So we will be answering this question. I'm going to read out this question, and so that you will understand the context very, very well. I want to keep it as anonymous as possible, but at the same time in such a way that it will help you to put everything into context, right? So the question goes this way. It's like, let me remove my glasses to read. I am kind of not understanding the way to go about SINP. So is there a way? SINP is a nomination, the provincial nomination for Saskatchewan. Okay, so is there a way to go about it without a job approval letter? I am currently working as a research technician at the university. This position is not permanent. It is casual, as I get to renew it every 6 months. So far, I have worked for 1 year, although I have been submitting applications for jobs here in Saskatchewan, and I'm still expectant for an opportunity. But in case wherein this is what I have, what can I make of it via SINP, please? Then my CELPIP score is 8, that's band 8. I have created my profile, but it is on 5457. The person is asking question, what will I do? What will I do with this profile? You have seen her profile. You have seen her profile. She is currently working as a research technician at a university in Saskatchewan. Like I said, I want to make it as anonymous as possible. At a university in Saskatchewan, she has worked for 1 year, but this 1 year, it's not a permanent position. It is contract, 6 months contract, and it's usually renewed. It has been renewed twice now. That is what it means. So coming to her question, what will I do with this situation? Will I be able to apply for provincial nomination with this situation? So right now, from this question, we are going to look at a lot of things as concerns provincial nomination and the express entry. These are 2 different ways you can transit from being a temporary resident in Canada to become a permanent resident. Okay, so right now she has graduated and she has gotten her postgraduate work permit. When you graduate from a university or college in Canada, you are given postgraduate work permit, which will enable you to stay in Canada and work legally for the number of years you are given. Depends on how lucky you are, but most times you're given 3 years. Okay, most times you're given 3 years. So she has her postgraduate work permit now, but she has been working as a contract staff, right? So to answer the question, can I apply without a job approval letter? A job approval letter means that the employer is sponsoring you. That is what it means. The answer is yes and no. Okay, yes and no. Job approval letter is no more needed for you to apply for SINP. However, the employer still needs to be registered with a SINP to show that they sponsor people, right? The employer has to be registered with SINP In the place of job approval letter, there is something now that will happen, which is called employment position assessment. So if your employer is registered with SINP, you don't need job approval letter from them, but you still need the employer support. Now, how does it happen here? The employer will have to be registered with SINP, and then the offer has to still be permanent and full-time permanent. You see where your employer's help still needed. They have to issue a permanent letter, permanent job offer, and then employer will also have to identify the worker being supported. So you don't need a job approval letter, but you need your employer to go through these things for you. First of all, the employer has to be registered with SINP. Then the employer will offer you permanent position. The employer will submit an employer position assessment to a Saskatchewan Provincial Nomination Board, or whatever they call them. And then the employer will also have to identify you, the worker that has been supported. You see, so you don't have to submit a letter, but this is what your employer will have to do on your behalf. So once this EPA is conditionally approved, the worker will be notified through SINP system, and then they have to must confirm the employment information in the accounts. So that is how this question number 1, is answered. And the state of Saskatchewan, in Saskatchewan, there's no letter for employer to hand to the worker. In Saskatchewan now, the employer does not have to give you any letter. Everything happens through this platform. I think it's online. They will have to fill that. So that is the answer to the question, do I need job approval letter? You don't need job approval letter, but it doesn't mean that you still do not need your employer's support. Okay. Now, the second question is concerning the research technician position. The research technician position, it actually has some positive features, and some of which are that it is a paid employment, right? It has you have worked there for approximately 1 year, and it's a skilled occupation, depending on the particular NOC classification. You need to go and carry out research and find out your NOC, okay, what's your job duty. Sometimes research technician, I don't know whether it is mentioned in the NOC or research assistant. You just have to go and check all these things out there. And then it is recognized with a Saskatchewan employer. It is in Saskatchewan. So with this position as a research technician, there is some hope. Okay, there's some hope. However, the challenge is right now is, first of all, that it is a casual. It's not casual. It's a contract, right? It's a contract. It's not permanent. It is renewed every 6 months. And then, so because it's not permanent, but it's renewed every 6 months, for Saskatchewan, you may not use it to get provincial nomination. You may not use it to get a provincial nomination. For Saskatchewan, the skilled worker must have an eligible full-time job, permanent full-time job, so which must have completed 780 hours consecutively before you'll be able to be eligible for this procedure. Therefore, based on these situations, my dear, therefore your casual 6 months, let me say, not casual, you're like 6 months, let's say 6 months contract, 6 month contract may not qualify you for Saskatchewan provincial nomination. It will not, because the Saskatchewan state starts, it has to be permanent. Okay, once there is an end date to that employment, it's not permanent. Once it's an end date, you will start on by this and end date, it is not permanent. They usually ask for permanent. Now, what you have to do in this situation, since you have already worked for 1 year, what you have to do is actually to contact your supervisor and see whether the person can help you to push that you get a letter that will give you a permanent position. Push to get a letter that will give you a permanent position. Once you get that letter, you work for 1 year, and after working for 1 year, you can now start asking for that employment assessment, employment position assessment, to start. They don't have to do anything special other than to fulfill those requirements on the platform. All right. So that is answering that question, answering the question. Now there's other things that came up from this question. So that is Saskatchewan provincial nomination. This position will not get you that, except they change the condition of employment from contract to become full-time, permanent, indefinite position. However, this your position and even the state of the work you're doing as a contract staff can qualify you for federal express entry. Okay, for Canadian experience class, the job offer does not have to state that it is permanent. So that is where your hope is in the federal express entry. Once this job, you have to confirm that it falls within tail 0, 1, 2, 3. Then you're eligible. The next thing will be to work and accumulate at least 1,560 hours, that is 1 year. So if you are working, we check your hours. Once you clock 1,560 hours, you are qualified for Canadian Express entry. You can accumulate these hours either as a part-time or as a full-time. So even if it is part-time, for those who may be in the same situation and your own is part-time, all you have to keep doing is make sure you're still working the same knock you see that qualifies you. Keep working until you accumulate 1,560 hours. That will make it a 1 year. So once you accumulate this number of hours and then you meet the language requirement, which is writing your exam to get at least CLB 7 in all the competencies. Once you meet this, then you have to be eligible for Canadian experience class. So, and then when you are eligible for Canadian experience class, you will see that your score, now your present score is going to have 457. It actually shows either 457 or 457. So you see in the last 1 year we have been seeing CAC draws ranging from 500 and above. So it means that this score is low for CAC, right? If the person still has a number of years to work as in Canada, for example, usually you have 3 years postgraduate work permit. So if right now you've worked for 1 year, you see that after you work for 1 year, your score will increase. You qualify for get some points for Canadian experience. I think 1 year is either 25 points or so. I need to confirm. So I need to confirm that maybe and bring it in another video. This video is getting so long. So let me be as brief as possible. If you work for 1 year, you will get additional points, either 25 or 30 points, depends on your age. If you work for 2 years, you get additional points. So if right now your score is 450 something, it means by the time you complete 1 year of work experience, remember we're talking about federal now, not provincial anymore. So whether it is by casual or part-time or full-time, once you clock 1 year by the number of hours, 1,560 hours, you will see that you automatically qualify for they can for some points you get some points. If you check the point, that will be like 25. It will still take you, it won't take you to 500. So you may still need to have to work for 2 years to get, I think 2 years gives like 50 points, and 3 years can give you 70 points and all that. So it's either you continue working. If you still have time to keep working, you continue working, and maybe in the next 1 year or 2 you'll be qualified, your score, your CRS will go up. So in the meantime, just keep working. Don't leave your position, and keep working and keep asking for them to give you permanent position. Usually those university contracts, they hardly make it permanent. So yes, if you see a position elsewhere that can give you permanent, if you get a permanent offer elsewhere, check the knock and ensure that the knock is within tier 0, 1, 2, 3. If it's within that and it's a permanent position, you can as well accept it. But in the meantime, if you don't lose hope. Keep working in this place, because by the time you do 2 years there, and you're definitely going to get some points that will boost your CRS. That is in that. Another thing, though, you mentioned that you don't want to rely on language test, I will strongly recommend that you keep trying that language test. Maybe you need to get someone to prepare you before you go and spend your money again. Maybe you need to buy some materials, or you need to get a tutor to prepare you, and make sure that you are ready to get band 8, 9. For someone who has graduated from a post-secondary institution in Canada using English as a medium of instruction, it is not impossible for you to get to band 9. You just need to be prepared. You're using English to work, use English to study, do your projects, and defend. It's just that the CELPIP and all these language proficiency exams, they have some things they're actually looking out for. So you need to get closer and be prepared. I'm very sure you're going to get it. And by the time you get it, you will see how your score will skyrocket. That is one thing. So you keep trying. Don't give hope. Don't lose hope on that language exam. Then another one, it's not because I'm a French teacher I'm saying this one, but if you don't mind, because you want to make sure you explore all possible means to remain in Canada after your studies, you don't want your postgraduate work permit to expire and you're asked to go back to your country, because postgraduate work permits are not renewable anymore. So once it expires, the only option may be for you to return to your country, except you have a company that will give you LMIA and have a what we call the close work permit. Okay, so even at that, you still have to make sure that your score will go up, or they can nominate you. So you may just want to I don't know how good you are in languages, but you may just have to start learning French. You never can tell. Between now and 2 years, by the side, you may have French, and you add that to your score, and I'm pretty sure by then you will definitely get it. With this to 450 something, if you have French language, you're in already. You would have become a PR by now. But then it's not everybody must not be French, like. But in case you want to think about it, instead of being stranded, you may just by the side start learning French, in case, as our people say, Adamama. So apart from that, I think you don't have to lose hope. Like I said, give that language test another shot, and this time around, get someone, pay a tutor, be serious, let the tutor prepare you and tell you that you're good to go before you go for it. And once your language score improves, you will be amazed how it will skyrocket your CRS score. You'll be amazed. So my people, this is my answer to this question. If you still have question after this, please keep on dropping it in the comment section. I will be ready to answer it as much as I can. I hope this video has helped you, the person that asked the question, and also you, every other person who came along. You have this information to help you in the future. So I'll be waiting for more questions in the comment section. And then thank you so much. Please subscribe to this channel to encourage us. Like the video, share, and I'll see you again in the next video. Ciao, ciao.